Hi, I'm Amy. Welcome to the kitchen at the Blue OK. Today we're making raw Mediterranean crackers. The ingredients you're going to need for these crackers are right here on my tray. We're going to start with some walnuts, some chopped zucchini, a little bit of green onion, some soaked sun-dried tomatoes, a handful of fresh herbs. It could be oregano, marjoram, even parsley or basil. I'm using marjoram today. It's one of my favorites for these crackers. Some golden flaxseed ground, a little bit of hemp seed, a little bit of nutritional yeast, some lemon, and salt. This is a great recipe because you can use a lot of fresh things from your garden. We often sun-dry our own tomatoes and then re-soak them to make these crackers. Pull some zucchini out, onions. You could also add, a red bell pepper from your garden or a yellow bell pepper. You can really kind of make this recipe your own. Crackers are very versatile, so you can sort of add what you have on hand. Instead of zucchini, you could use yellow squash. So this is just a starter recipe for a nice garden fresh cracker, and then you could kind of add in what you have or what you really enjoy. So here's what we have on hand today, and I'm going to start by putting the walnuts into the food processor. And you want to get the walnuts ground up to a little bit of a walnut flour. So that's what we're going to do first, and then blend the rest of our ingredients. So once you get your walnuts in there, go ahead and turn it on. And if you've soaked them, they'll start to grind up pretty fast. And that's about the texture I want. A little bit of bulk still in there, but not so much that you get a big piece of walnut. The nice thing about a good cracker is everything is sort of uniform in texture, so that you don't get a big bite of a nut or a big bite of onion. It's all very evenly distributed. So now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients, get that mixed up, and add it to the walnut. So we're going to take the zucchini, the green onion, the soaked sun-dried tomato. I'm going to pick this right up out of my bowl because I've been soaking it, and we don't necessarily need the water to start with, but eventually we might even use some of that water in it. And then our flax, our hemp, the lemon juice, a little bit of nutritional yeast. And nutritional yeast is optional. If you wanted to use nutritional yeast, you could. It's not necessarily considered completely raw, so you wouldn't have to use it. And then I'm going to add this nice, healthy handful of herbs. Like I said, this is marjoram. I really love the flavor of that in this particular cracker. I'm going to go ahead and start blending this. And I'm actually going to add a little of our sun-dried water soak here to thin this out just a bit. It's nice to use the sun-dried water soak because it has all the flavor of the sun-dried tomatoes in the water. So it just adds flavor to your crackers. So now you can see this is a little bit more liquid, and we're going to add it to the walnut. It's going to form a kind of dough, almost a batter for our crackers. And the first thing I want to show you how to do with this is make a kind of bread that you could use as an open-faced sandwich. You could use it as a pizza crust. You can use it really for anything that you would use bread for. And then I want to show you how to make a cracker out of it. And to make a cracker, you just thin it out with a little bit of water, and you'll get a much thinner texture out of the cracker. So texture is very important in raw food because rather than feeling like you're eating the same thing all the time, you want to have the sense that you're able to create some variety. So this is one way of doing it, is by working with the texture of the things you're making. So I'm going to grab a dehydrator sheet and just show you how to put this into a square and pop it in the dehydrator, and then I'll show you how to thin it out and make a cracker. So you'll want to use the dehydrator sheet that has a little bit of the Teflex paper. If you're using the Excalibur, it comes with this great non-stick sheet, and you're just going to put a scoop of the batter right on the dehydrator sheet, and then you're just going to sort of shape it into whatever shape you want it. Sometimes you can use your spatula. I like this little tool that flattens it out for me. It's actually a bread scraper, but works really well for actually shaping the bread. And sometimes I'll just even cut the edges off, so that right from the very beginning I have a nice square. And I'll do a few of these usually, And when I make a batch of crackers, I'll usually do a few pieces of bread so that when I want a piece of toast or an open-faced sandwich or something, I can just put avocado on top of it, put some fresh veggies on top, and have an open-faced sandwich. So I'm going to pop this in the dehydrator, and then I'll show you what to do for the crackers. So that goes in. And then if you're going to do crackers, what I recommend is that you start to add water to this mixture. And first we're going to use up the sun-dried tomato soak because it'll add great flavor to the crackers. And then we'll probably even end up adding more water, which is why I like to have that pitcher of water on hand. And you might be surprised how much water you add back into this mixture only to dehydrate it again. But it's really to get that texture of a nice thin cracker. So what you want to start seeing with the batter is that it takes on a consistency of something almost like a pancake batter that you would pour. You want to be able to scoop it and have it drop right onto the dehydrator sheet and be thin enough that it doesn't stick to the spoon. So we're getting there. You can see it getting more soupy. And I'm going to say one more little dash of water here, and we'll be there. Just give it a good mix. I'm starting to get the texture I like here. And we're going to add this back onto the dehydrator sheet. And sometimes I'll do a whole flat sheet and do it nice and thin and cut it into squares. Other times I'll just spoon it in circles. And you'll get about the amount for one cracker with each spoonful. So you can just sort of spoon it on and then jiggle the tray a little bit, and the circles will settle into little rounds. And I like this cracker because it looks sort of rustic. It has the you can see bumps in it from the hemp seeds and the walnut. And so it has a texture to it where you really know you're eating food. And that's another thing I like about this cracker. Whoop, some of mine ran together here, which is always okay. You can make a strip out of that and just cut those into squares, and we'll leave these as circles. But what I like about when you make a cracker like this is that it has so much real food in it. You have the zucchini in it, you have the tomato in it, you have the flax in it, you also have the onions, you can as I mentioned, put bell pepper in it, so you really know that you're eating not a bunch of filler. You're actually eating food that you would put into your body by choice. So I really like that with this cracker. I'm going to pop this in the dehydrator, and you'll see we'll get some circular crackers out of this. We'll get a strip that we can cut into squares, and when I come back, I'll show you what I've done with some of the crackers I made beforehand. So in these go. And then here's one of the sheets that I did a little bit earlier. I made a nice big square, and just so you know, when you're making your cracker, at some point it will need to be flipped over. So you'll have it in the dehydrator, you'll be dehydrating it, and when you've dehydrated it for a while, you're just going to flip it over and peel this backing off and give it another 6 hours in the dehydrator probably. And then once you have this cracker sheet, this piece of bread, you can really do anything with it. You could cut it into squares for an open-faced sandwich, or you can use it like we're going to today to make a pizza. So to make an open-faced pizza, you can just take a little bit of fresh tomato sauce, sort of pizza sauce, and spread it along on your cracker, on your bread. I'm going to do this one with half tomato sauce on one half, and then I'll show you could do the second half as a pesto pizza. You could do the second half. You could cut it in half and use the other half for a flatbread. We're going to put a little bit of pine nut Parmesan cheese on this, and that's really, in this case, some pine nuts blended up with a little bit of sea salt, nutritional yeast, a little cayenne pepper for flavor, and it makes a delicious fake Parmesan cheese. And then just a little bit of onion here that I like to add, again for flavor. Some beautiful Kalamata olives. Sure, a great addition to any pizza, in my opinion. And then I always like to add to my pizza some fresh greens. And in this case, I'm going to use arugula. It actually goes very nicely on pizza because it has a little bite to it. It has a little pepper to it. So you might be used to a little spice in your pizza, and you get that from the arugula. So I like to just break a little bit of the arugula leaves off and give that nice fresh green, both color and taste and nutrition to this open-faced pizza. And you can see this really doesn't take long to do. You've made your cracker, and then you'll have it on hand to use for all of these uses. And then of course a little bit of fresh basil right on top of that. I just cut that in half and serve as a beautiful open-faced pizza. You can also do the same thing with a sandwich, with a piece of toast. So you would have a piece of bread like the one we put in the dehydrator, and you just take it, you could add a little bit of hummus to it. And I like to make raw hummus using zucchini, garlic. I like to add a little tahini to it and lemon juice. Let's see. I'll put a little bit of cucumber on this one. And this is really just whatever you would enjoy on an open-faced sandwich. What do you like to eat? You know, and take these fresh ingredients, get them on there, and you've got a beautiful piece of toast to enjoy that with. And it's, instead of processed grain, it's your own dehydrated herbs and nuts and fresh vegetables. So a little avocado on there, a little lettuce, a couple of tomatoes, and there you have it. Open-faced sandwich, piece of toast, open-faced pizza, and then of course the crackers that we thinned out and put in, which come out just like this. You can dip them in the hummus. They're crunchy, they're delicious. One of my favorite snacks. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them here on the website, and enjoy. Bon appetit.